What is up, everybody? Welcome to Theocracy. I am your host, Theo Snodgrass. Wherever you may be, thank you for making me a part of your day. Comedian and podcaster out of Las Vegas, Nevada. It's good to be back. This is our second show back after kind of a long break, so it's been a lot of fun. It was first show was actually a lot of fun. We had a good turnout on that. There was like zero drop off in viewers, which was fucking sick. Reminder to the Instagram audience: I can't see your comments reliably. So to the extent that I can see your comments at all, it's going to be delayed and super annoying for me. So I have to like go back and forth. I might wait. Hold on. Let's see if I can put this open in another tab. That might work. Okay. Now it's just delayed. So I can see your comments, but they are going to be delayed. So chill out on that if I don't respond. If you want to be a part of the chat that I respond to, make sure and hop over to YouTube or maybe Rumble, Twitch, and Kick. We're also live on there. It's a lot of fun. We have a good time here. We run a good show. Oh man, guys. Okay, so I didn't realize this is gonna sound silly. When I moved to Las Vegas, Nevada, I really didn't understand how hot it was gonna be. And to be fair, people did tell me it was going to be hot. People did tell me, "Hey, Theo, just so you know, the desert is hot." I didn't, dude. I really didn't think about it. I'm like very fair skinned. I don't know if you guys can tell. My complexion is not suited for the desert. It is not. My people did not evolve for a desert climate. So it's hard out here for a pimp. Dude, I'm sweating. My hands are sunburned right now because I wear long sleeves most of the time. I call that Irish sunscreen. But no, my hands are sunburned, and I always cover my head. I've always got like my face sunscreened up and covered, and it's just been a fucking nightmare out here. By the way, it is March, so not even hot. By the way, F&T meetup for those of you coming out for the F&T meetup in August. Good luck. I don't know why you would make that choice, if I'm being honest with you. I don't know why you would come. I don't even want to be in Las Vegas in August. I live here. I try to schedule my touring schedule so that I'm not in Vegas in the summertime on purpose because I don't want to be here in August. I don't know why the fuck you would come here voluntarily. I don't know why you'd like buy a ticket and come to Vegas in August. That's stupid. That's an IQ test, bro. Respectfully. I mean, I'll be happy to see all of you. I'll be sick. I am going to have a show scheduled. We're in preliminary talks with Don Barnhart over at Delirious Comedy Club. So I'm going to try to have a show on the calendar for when you guys are out here because I think that'll be a good time. A lot of you guys mostly know me from the online, and if I haven't been to your city, then you haven't seen me perform live. A lot of you haven't seen me perform live in a long time. So yeah, please, by the way, come out. One of the advantages of being in Vegas, there's two big advantages to that. One, I can fly out very cheaply. It's very cheap to fly in and out. The other one is that now I'm at a place where people actually want to come. So if you want to come see me, I'm at a city where you might actually want to go, Let's go ahead and check in with the chat. I love you guys. Let's see. Vagabond is here. First in chat, Vagabond. By the way, Vagabond, I've been reading a ton of manga lately, so I'm going to be fully weebed out. Got to make it to another episode of I Swear It's Not Hentai. Sunday night is a little tough for me right now because my performance schedule is heating up. But yeah, I got to make it over to another episode of I Swear It's Not Hentai. Great show. Go ahead and follow Vagabond. He does a great show called I Swear It's Not Hentai. And it's usually not hentai, but like sometimes it is hard to tell. I'll be honest with you. Like the Japanese are perverts. I think they think it's like funny to be a pervert. I don't think it's like I was reading Dragon Ball. Weirdly obsessed with panties, that show or that manga. Weirdly obsessed with panties to a degree that's like deeply unsettling. And it's like, but I think it's like a funny thing, not like a horny thing. I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's like a weird cultural differences. Of course, this is a country where you can buy panties out of a vending machine. So it's like hard to tell with those people. I mean, I'm not shitting on them. God bless the Japanese, but they're perverts. Anyway, who else is here? Strider's here. What's up, buddy? Fucking Strider's here. What's up, buddy? Friend of the channel. Roguish Nerd is here. Shit, was he late and therefore gay? If so, call him gay and late. Okay. Okay. Yes, I was late and therefore gay. I was late. That is true. That did happen. Not because I wanted it to. I just I wanted to get a soda before the show. That's what happened. It's not like it's literally I was just unprofessional. That's it. It was just unprofessionalism and poor time management that led to that outcome. It had nothing to do with like there's no legitimate reason. Oh, Shield Wall Dragons is up here. What's up, buddy? Friend of the channel. I could fly in and out pretty cheaply, but enough about the hookers. By the way, I don't know where this reputation that I comport with sex workers came from. It's completely unfounded. That's not even doesn't even sound like something I would do. I don't like strippers, hookers, OnlyFans girls. Not something that's ridiculous. By the way, that's ridiculous. By the way, K for soda. You know what? Oh man, it's been a weird couple of days actually. Been a weird couple of days. I'm trying to get away from like the hard news stuff, and because well, okay, a couple of things on that. One, I think discussing politics online is actually making all of us stupider, and this started to happen when I think I was like maybe this was like 5 or 6 years ago, probably like in 2020 ish, 20 yeah, but in 2020, 2021, right around there, like my the gal who did my hair like had like strong opinions on who the Secretary of Defense was going to be. And I was like, maybe too many people know too much about politics. Maybe this isn't good. And people were like scrapping about people who had never shown an interest in politics because like prior to that, politics was kind of like a niche nerd interest. And then like people who had never shown an interest were suddenly like very invested in politics. And then pretty soon everybody was talking about it. And almost everything everyone is saying about politics is like really stupid and uninformed. And I just don't want to contribute to that anymore, I guess. I don't know. It's just like people who know less than me are very confident in sharing their opinions. I'm also the other thing too is I'm also spending a lot less time online now because as some of you may know, this is the season of Lent for those of us in the Catholic faith. And so what that means is that we're supposed to, or at least the way I interpret it is it's a season for fasting and prayer. And what that means is I'm going to try to give up things that are actively making my life worse, you know? So so one of the things that I've been giving up is short videos and as in the like the TikTok style shorts that you just like scroll through because you could lose like 6 hours watching them motherfuckers. Um uh, and it's like actively bad for your life to scroll through those videos. So it steals hours from you, you know. And what's crazy is like it fucks with your emotional state too. Like I will turn on my phone and uh and you know, lose hours of my life to short videos and walk away from it angry and then leave my house and take that anger into the world and interact with real people with it. Like that's not good, you know, especially because when you actually talk to real people, a lot of times they're not like what you see on the internet. Like real people are still living their real lives. As far as I can tell, real people are normal and not crazy, but they're scared that everyone else is going to be crazy. That's what I think. Everyone is like self-censoring and like hushing and like looking around like, ooh, and everyone's scared of everyone else, you know, but like regular people are pretty normal and they're not that different than they were a couple of years ago, but they think everyone else is crazy. And I think the downstream effect of short videos it does make people crazy, but it really what it does is it makes you think that everyone else is crazy. You know. Yeah. So anyway, so that's I don't know. I've definitely noticed just me personally, my emotional state has evened out a lot. And my ability to pay attention to stuff is improving. I'm working on, you know, being able to read books and stuff like that. So that's going to be tricky we're going to see how that goes. I'm going to try to read more books, and instead of learning about the world through short videos, I'm going to try to learn about the world by existing in the world, and we're going to see what happens with that. That's going to be fun. Let's see. Yeah, we're going to get into it. First, let's check in on the chat. Is people who know less than you okay? Oh, yeah, about politics. Yeah, dude, you scroll through fucking Instagram reels sometime and tell me there aren't people who know nothing who are really confidently sharing their opinion. Kind of the like left-wing political ecosystem. It's weird. So the right wing tends to coalesce around certain large accounts, but left-wing politics is very decentralized. It's a bunch of tiny accounts who are all just like repeating basically the same talking points. They're not bringing anything like original to the discourse, but they're repeating the same talking points essentially. So, but it's just like regular ass people. It's just like, it's just like Brenda who works at Walmart, who's trying to be like, let me tell you about class consciousness. Like, let me educate you about Marxism. And it's just like, Brenda, what are you doing? Brenda, that's cool, but can you tell me where the cat food is? You know what I mean? It's just like regular ass people who, God bless them. I'm sure they're doing what they think is right. I'm not shitting on them, and they have just as much of a right to talk as everybody else, but they got their education from the internet. So they heard somebody else say something in a short video, and then they chose to make a short video to repeat it. And a lot of times information gets shared that way that's not true. And this feels like more of the gender war discourse, which is kind of where I want to hang out. Because the reason I started doing, podcasting was because I wanted to, well, other than to promote my personal brand, I wanted, men and women to get along. I wanted that to be like a net effect of what I was doing. And so I want to kind of focus more on that and stay out of like the politics scene. The other thing too, is I think the political ecosystem is so confusing. It's impossible to tell what's actually going on. Like, it's actually impossible to tell. So it's a huge bummer, because it would be super awesome if we could get good, reliable information about what's going on in the world. Like, that would be totally sick. I just don't think that that's possible to do right now, because everybody who is supplying information is doing it from the perspective of an agenda. Like, they want you to think about things a certain way. And so they'll control what facts they tell you and what facts they don't tell you, because they want to promote that agenda. And, because of that, like things that are okay. I'll give you a good example of a meme that is circulated widely online that's just not true. Like, there is a meme online that morgues prefer to hire women because men will fuck the bodies. Okay. And that is just repeated. And it'll just be this. It's repeated in the form of like a short video. There'll be a woman who's just like, by the way, just so you look up why morgues prefer to hire women. And it's got like, and she's just like very like meh and like sure of herself. Except that's literally never been true. It is true that some men fuck dead bodies. That is true. It is not true that that's widespread enough that it affects the hiring practices in the mortuary business. That's not true. That business is now and always has been majority male. But that's a meme that's like widely circulated online. And a lot of people believe it because they've heard it repeated by this like decentralized network of people who make short videos. Yeah. And so a lot of this is just like regurgitating the same bullshit over and over and over again. Yeah. And let's see. Let's go ahead and check in with the chat real quick, because I want to get into some stuff that I saw that is deeply depressing and kind of gets at some ideas that I've wanted to talk about for a while. Let's see. Belladonna's here, friend of the channel. Audiobooks are super helpful. I now get through at least 5 to 6 books a month. That's awesome. But are those books or books? Are you part of the porn book epidemic? Be honest. No, I'm teasing. I'm sure they're very helpful. I'm sure she's reading War and Peace. All right, let's they will have one person do a paid study for, and then every other outlet will cite and then cite each other's articles as sources, all based off one flawed study to put some message. Yeah, that is a problem. And this is why I got frustrated with when you're dialoguing with leftists. Oh, hold on. Wait, hold on. Belladonna's here. I stopped reading smut since getting married. Based. So based. Oh God, we need like an air horn sound effect. We need an air horn sound effect. Friend of the channel. By the way, shout out to the 4%. We love you guys. My audience is 4% female. We love you guys. Shout out to the 4%. So base. That's the problem. This is people ask why I don't make more content for women. It's because the women who listen to this show are already doing everything right. I don't have anything to tell them. And they wouldn't listen anyway. Women don't listen to shit. Women don't listen to shit. So women don't listen to anything. So you can't tell them anything. So wouldn't matter. And the women who listen to the show are already doing everything right. So I don't have anything to tell you. You guys are doing great. I have no notes. Go crazy. Fellas, you guys need to stop jerking off. Take her advice. Stop beating off. Belladonna is doing the right thing. Very based. Very based. But yeah, this point here is true. One of the reasons it's frustrating to have like discourse with leftists is they'll only believe things if you can like point to a cited study. And there's there's studies that get widely cited. This is true in right-wing discourse too. I mean, it's not limited to the left, but it's like there's a lot of studies that are really widely cited that have flawed methodology, so the results are suspect. And that's very common. That's very common. But then they'll get reported, or maybe the study itself was fine, but the way it was reported, like there's a study that came out a couple of years ago that like methane had properties that could reduce the growth of tumors in rats or something. And the way that was reported was smelling farts can cure cancer. Because of course it was. Because like, why would you? Because that is a better headline. That headline is going to get shared a million times and is going to go viral. And it's funny to make a hot news lady read that on TV. It's not information. It's not useful. It doesn't help anybody do anything. But then this gets repeated in like the short video ecosystem. And the problem is like everybody is with everybody plugged into that, we're all getting dumb information that's making us worse. And then we go and talk to each other. And I have a kind of a tricky algorithm. So like my algorithm on Facebook and on my algorithm on Instagram is very like right wing and racist. And then my algorithm on Facebook is very left wing and feminist and anti-racist. So I see a lot of what kind of everybody's seeing, and it's like, wow, okay, all right. So if two people who watched exclusively this content, you know, tried to have a dialogue, they would be working off a completely different set of facts about reality, and it would be kind of like impossible for them to discourse. So I don't know how to fix that, dude. I'll be honest with you. Like, I don't know that that's like super fixable. So other than you have to check out. So like look, and I'm saying this as someone like I have a pretty sophisticated educational background and a very critical eye. And I can't make heads or tails of what's going on politically. I really can't. I can't tell what's true at all. I just get the sense that you know, being lied to all the time. And I do think comedy podcasts wading into the world of politics was largely a mistake that made the discourse worse. Like, I don't know if we should have Theo Vaughn and Andrew Schultz like endorsing presidential candidates. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's cool. At the first, I thought it was kind of cool. It's like, oh shit, comedy podcasts are really here, you know. But now they're like backtracking and they look bad. And everybody's like dogpiling on them, and I think it's like bad because they really don't know anything. They're just kind of winging it. They're just like regular dudes who are winging it. They don't have any like specialized knowledge. They just have millions of listeners. And I think one thing that's troubling is like we pick who we're going to listen to based on who's good at talking, not who knows things. And that's a bad way to pick who you listen to. Like, I'm a comedian, and I can tell you, people who are good at talking can be like garbage people who suck at everything and don't know anything. Like, that's very possible. So yeah, that was a clickbait title, which outlets do to generate revenue. Yeah, big time. Is a proven fact that two people type in the exact same search prompt, they will get totally different results from each other. Yeah, that's not good. So this is why, the internet, I think, was supposed to lead to, in theory, was going to lead to a renaissance of information, and everybody was going to be super informed. And it ends up in just everybody being pissed all the time. And people can't fucking agree on like the basics of reality because of exactly this right here. Exactly that. So if you like type in something and somebody else types in something, you're going to get completely different results back to you, which is not. And AI further throws a wrench in it. It's weird because like different AIs have different biases. It's weird to think about like a robot having a bias, but it's not that the robot itself has the bias or the language model itself has the bias. It's the people who programmed it were biased a certain way. So, yeah. So it's like, man, it's really hard to get impartial sources of information. Tricky. Very tricky. Very tricky. Don't know what to do about that. Anyway, so the title of this show is Hating Men is Normal Now. And the reason that I called it that was because of some stuff that I've just been seeing online, kind of poking around. And basically, what I wanted to do was zoom out and add context for why I think the hostility that's being pushed, that's kind of feeding the gender war and feeding this like men are garbage narrative that is very mainstream, is coming, it's top down, being pumped into the culture from every angle. I think most of the people who watch this show are already aware of that, but I wanted to show an example. There's a really good Sabrina Carpenter video that had recently gone viral. I'm going to try to play it on here. It's from a live concert, so I'm hoping it doesn't count as copyrighted music. I'm hoping it doesn't count. I'm hoping I don't get struck for playing it. I don't think I will. She was just at Lollapalooza in Argentina, and which is a big fucking music festival. So there's like 100,000 people in the crowd. And let me pull this up so you guys can see what I'm talking about. That way I'm not just talking to myself. And something that I've noticed, and I've shown, some of you have shown this too before, is like the increased popularity of feminine rage anthems, which are just like music where women are, let's see which one looks better. That one's a little small. There we go. There's just music where like women are just pissed at men. And I'm like, I don't know if that's helpful for the discourse. Sabrina Carpenter is tricky because this is it's interesting. Like most of her brand is essentially, she's like a whore who hates men is like her deal, basically. Like she's like very, promiscuous and hypersexual, and also doesn't like men, which is like, I don't know. It's hard to square that circle. You'd think it's like, bro, do you like dick or not? It's like, I think it's like she likes dicks, just not what they're attached to, which I'm sympathetic to that to some degree. I get where you're coming from. That's reasonable. So we're going to go ahead and play this. And this is like, yeah, go ahead. What do you call it? Come on. Now they're talking about men for the sake of this discussion. So she just got 100,000 women to call men stupid at the same time. Let's see how. Or is it? I don't know what. Yeah, see how the whole crowd is yelling this. Go ahead. Well, maybe it. But there's a cute. Yeah, hold on. And then we're gonna I'm actually gonna mute this for the rest of it because you kind of get the idea, and I don't want to get struck for copyrighted music. And you get the idea. She's performing, and then the whole crowd is going nuts. And as we're gonna see, it's like full of chicks who all know the words. dancers, whatever. Yeah, see, they all know the words. They're all having a great time and they're vibing. And this is pretty common. And I've shown clips on this show before and on oops, how do I go back? There we go. And on other shows before where a lot of female performers will make their whole brand about shitting on men. And then they'll when they go to perform their songs, they're performing them for like arenas and stadiums where every woman in there knows the words and they're like chanting it back to them. Right. And this is like probably the biggest example that I've seen, other than we've all seen the videos of like the Taylor Swift concerts where she has that one song where it says fuck the patriarchy, and you've got a fucking stadium full of women from like 12 through, millennial aged, just chanting fuck the patriarchy at the same time. Not really having, I don't think, a concept of what that means. I think it's just like a generalized, emotional upset at men as a concept that's being encouraged. And this is being encouraged in like basically all of the music, Now, I will say, when you I recently got back from a road trip in the Northwest where I was in a lot of smaller towns. And I will say, not a lot of like normal women think this way. I would say like this is a metropolitan culture issue. So, but I will say it's not limited to big cities. That's where I differ with some of my friends who make this point. Is a lot of my friends say, "Oh, well, Theo, this is just a problem with women who live in cities. If you go out and you go to the country, you're not going to find that." And I was like, "That's true to a degree, but I think because of phones and because of the short video economy, basically women, it's not just women who live in big cities. It's women who live in big cities, women who went to college, and also women who get their whole personality from TikTok. That too, because like TikTok is spreading this." It's crazy. It's crazy. Sabrina Carpenter has definitely devoured the souls of small African children, almost certainly. Dude, you know what's crazy? And I'm not trying to shit on the girl, but like she's obviously like very good at singing, and she's been in the industry for a long time. She was a child actor, and she's been hustling, and she's just been going through it. And good for her for being wildly successful. That's awesome. And like touring for Taylor Swift. Like I'm not saying she hasn't worked hard, but I will say though is when she's not made up like a drag queen, she is a pretty normal looking woman. Like she's not like a remarkably beautiful by any means. It's just that's like mostly like stage makeup. She's just like a regular looking chick if you take all that away. So what I mean to say is that this is like manufactured. I also like I unconfirmed heard a report that she doesn't write the music. I don't know if that's true or not. But what's clear to me is that it's resonating with people. Got to go, have an appointment coming up. Have a good one. Hey, take it easy, Shield Wall of Dragons. What's clear to me is that it's whatever she's doing is resonating with people. Right. So it's evident to me that we're now at a time where we're more separated than ever. And I guess this is what, women are seeing and, being encouraged to think about and consume. And it's not just that, like, music is powerful. It has a powerful influence on behavior and the way that you think. And Sabrina Carpenter's music is super catchy. So you could just like catch yourself up. Like, honestly, I've caught myself, humming Espresso. I mean, it's like, the shit's catchy, man. And it's everywhere too. It's also ubiquitous. Like pop music is like constantly on the radio waves. And like every single song is like trying to encourage women to, hate men. It's weird because, with Sabrina Carpenter's an interesting case because some of her music is like, I'm super confident and everything's great. It's that me espresso. And then some of her music is like, please, please, please don't cheat on me. So she's kind of doing this like anxious avoidant tap dance of like, either like feeling very in control or feeling completely at the mercy of the guy that you're hung up on. And I wonder if it's not the case that I think a lot of young women in particular relate to that because like dating and forming stable relationships has become, incredibly difficult now with the era of dating apps. And we talked about on the last show, dating apps being like designed to keep you single. And if you look at the data on this, it really seems like, at least from women's perspective, one of the things that they complain about the most is that these men don't want to commit. And I think that this problem is solvable in this. It's like what I always tell women when they ask me questions. This happens somewhat frequently, more frequently than you might think. Women will ask me, what should I do about X, Y, and Z? And a lot of times for most women, most of the time, the answer is to just date men who like you. Don't date men who don't like you because they won't commit to you. If a man who likes you will commit to you. If a man's not committing to you, he doesn't like you that much. That's it. That's the whole thing. So just date men who like you and you won't have this problem, and women don't want to hear that, but I think what dating apps do is it allows women to get access and sort of like match with and, have sex with guys who would not commit to them. And they don't understand that like they're not going to be able to transition that casual sexual relationship into a more committed one. Like they don't understand that that's not possible. And so there is this general impression that like men don't commit, but it's just the men that they're dealing with that don't want to commit. And the men that would commit to them, they don't want to deal with. And it's a huge bummer, but it's going to end up with them feeling like very frustrated. And also like when you talk to women, that's why their perspective of what men are doing and what men like is, seems to be completely distorted, is because they're dealing with like a tiny subset of men who are not like treating them very well. Like you ever heard a woman say all men cheat? And then you're thinking, well, I don't cheat. And then she's like, yes, you do. Or you tell women that like most guys don't get laid. And they're like, no, men are fucking 5 women at a time. And it's like, what are you talking about? That's not true. Most men don't get laid at all. And like, that's because the guys that they're dealing with are doing that. Right. So a lot of this is like a selection problem. A lot of this is a selection problem that's being encouraged by dating apps. So we talked about that on the show last week, where it's like the guys who do well on dating apps are almost certainly like the guys you would least want to get involved with. But if you were a woman who wanted to have some kind of committed relationship, but like, I guess then, you couple that with the fact that like every single song, every single TV show is degrading men. It's like very common to say on social media that like men are garbage. That's totally fine. Like you're not going to receive any negative consequences for saying that. In fact, you're going to get encouraged and like yas queened because of the way women participate in like these like shared suffering rituals. They like to like suffer collectively. And I guess a lot of this is like, if you feel like it's cool, if you feel like all your friends hate men and you're a lady and you don't want to be left out, you kind of want to participate. Like it seems like part of the problem, part of this, it seems to be like a group bonding ritual where all these women are like having a great time yelling about how much they hate men. Oh man, huge bummer. Huge bummer. And I will say, like, and it's not that men are not. It's not that men are not saying bad things about women, because they definitely are. But I think men are a lot more likely to receive pushback. If a man in a group of men says women are garbage, he's a lot more likely to receive pushback. Ask me how I know. Ask me how I know that men who criticize women, even if you give women like the mildest criticism in a group of men, you are very likely to receive pushback. Even if you're right, even if you're objectively telling the truth, you're going to receive a lot of pushback, which is, by the way, good, which is a good thing. I mean, we should be really reluctant to to criticize women. And the reason for that is because if you make everything women's fault, you're not going to make all women act differently. Like there's no way to do that. That's why my advice to men mostly involves them like changing their own behavior, because you're just like not going to get all women to act differently. That's just like never going to happen. So if your gripe is that all women do X, Y, and Z, then like good fucking luck changing that. Even if it's true, good fucking luck changing that. And second of all, it's like not all of them. It's just, I think what we have is we have a society that creates a lot of male losers and a lot of really unhappy women. And those things are definitely connected. Those things are definitely connected because women like to fuck winners. Women don't like to fuck losers. I mean, some of y'all do be fucking losers. Not you in the 4%, but, broadly speaking, some of your sisters. Bring that up at the next meeting. Some of you do be fucking losers like crazy. But, women like to feel like they're fucking winners, And so if there aren't a lot of men who are doing well, then there's not a lot of winners to fuck. And then they get kind of dissatisfied. And they feel like men are, what did we say in the song? Useless, stupid, slow, man-child. That's the gripe of men. So what they're saying about men is that men are like fundamentally unserious and uninterested in serious relationships and moving the relationship forward, which means that women can't depend on them and they can't have children and so on. And the data also seems to suggest that women are less interested in committed relationships and less interested in having children than ever. Now, I do want to push back on that. We talked earlier in the show about how studies can be flawed because their methodology, like I didn't know I was going to talk about this. I probably should have brought up that study. This is why I need a fucking producer on this show. Shout out Drunk Emerald Arrow, the Mr. Producer. I got to get him to work on this show, but he has a regular job that needs him during the day or whatever. Anyway, so some of the data suggests that women are less interested in committed relationships than they ever have been. I actually don't know if that's true or if that's just because the data is self-reported. Okay, because of media, think about that. Like every single TV show, every single song, every single media influence, every single politician throughout the school system, women are encouraged to be girl bosses, to be independent, to exist, independent of men, to not need men. And so if somebody comes by with a survey and asks you, what's your priority? You're not going to say having a family and having children, right? Because that's like not cool. You want to say something cool. You want to say my career. But it's like most women don't have career. Most people don't have careers. Okay. A career is like super hard to get. Most people have fucking jobs. You have a place where you go or you boop things into a computer and they give you a subsistence wage so you don't starve to death on the street. And then they send you home. And like, if you died tomorrow, they would, fill that job by Thursday. Before you were buried in the ground, they would have that LinkedIn ad up. They probably already have a LinkedIn ad up for your job, and they will let you go as soon as you become too expensive and train your replacement. So, yeah, to be able to get like the majority of your life fulfillment from something like that for most people is not realistic. For most people, it's got to come from something outside of work, like family or involvement in your church. A lot of people do that. And by the way, I am a person who considers myself to have a career, and I'm not super financially successful. And I got to do a lot of stuff. I gotta do a lot of things I don't want to do just to keep the lights on over here at Theo Snodgrass LLC. You know what I mean? Just to be able to do it. Like some months are really good. Like I just got back from a tour. It's really fucking good right now. I'm living high on the hog. I've got soda money, y'all. But some months are like not as good, are not as poppin'. Things tend to slow down in the wintertime. One of the reasons that I live in a hot climate is because things don't slow down as much in the wintertime. People come out here for vacation in December. You got to like a lot of sacrifices. It demands a lot of time, energy, effort, and focus. It's not always fun. Most of it is not fun. This morning, I did like a fucking 45-minute phone call on the business licensing procedures in the state of Nevada. Did I enjoy 1 second of that? No, all of it was excruciating. I hated all of it. What I really hate, it was like sometimes I'll be like talking to like somebody. If I find out they find out that I'm a comedian, they'll immediately think that I'm gonna want to have like a joking type conversation with them, that I'm gonna be funny like right now. And it's like, I don't want to be funny right now. I want to talk about like business stuff. I want to be funny right now. It actually makes me tired. Makes me tired to be funny. And I'm like saving that. Like I already used up all my energy. I'll be funny later. I don't want to be funny right now. I don't want to do it. But they'll want to be like, they'll just like start being unserious with me. And it's like, please don't, bro. Just put the fries in the bag. That's why I don't tell people shit, by the way. Anyway, let's look at the chat real quick. Strider's got something here. Not gonna lie, I like espresso, but then I sober up and listen to Michael Jackson instead. Yeah, dude. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Is like I'm not even gonna sit here and act like Sabrina Carpenter's not like a talented musician, or that her music isn't catchy or kind of fun. And pop music is that way, and it certainly does really well with women. Like she's got like a majority female fan base. And I'm sure there's people who love her music, but the reality is that the message in her music is like really harmful to the way that people move around in the world. Like it makes people, especially it makes women, it really turns them against men, which is like not great. And a lot of the other thing that turns men and women against each other is the way that we treat each other in the dating market. And we talk about this all the time, that because of the way that we do dating now, it's become so low trust to the point that you have to assume that the person you're talking to is potentially having sex with multiple other people. And so if you're going to try to finesse a committed relationship out of a situation like that, it's just you just got to assume that you're being lied to, assume that they're leaving out information, assume all this stuff. Like just you go into the situation assuming you can't trust them, and you work at it from there. You work up from there. And that's hard. And if you go into it being like trying to trust people by default, you got to get used to just, oh, shoot, got lied to again. Oh, well, got lied to again. Oh, well, got lied to again. Oh, well. And you just got to like not, it's really hard to not be cynical after that. Because at some point, it just becomes an exercise in pattern recognition. It really does. And I haven't figured out the way to filter it out. This thing a lot of people don't understand is like dating people at church doesn't fix it. Talking to people at bars doesn't fix it. Dating apps make it worse. There aren't a lot of good solutions. So in some sense, like I don't like 100%. I'm not super mad at these women for feeling this way, because they are responding to the cultural messaging they've been getting, where like feminism is the default narrative, and the type of feminism that's the default narrative is like, do whatever you want. Anyone who judges you hates women. Anyone who wants to place limitations on your behavior hates women. Anyone who tells you like not to be annoying or not to be promiscuous or, not to be unhealthy, they're just a hater. You live your best life and do whatever makes you happy. And it's like, that's not a message you would give to like anybody that you cared about. That's not a message you lived to anybody would have a bad time. And I think anybody who acted that out in the real world would have a really tough time. It would just like make your life miserable very quickly. Right. So I think these women, they go out and they act out this stuff and they think, oh, well, I'm going to have fun and, just like live my life and blah, blah, blah. And it ends up like making them fucking miserable, and they end up channeling that towards men because that's what the culture tells them to do. But the more they get like angry and openly angry at men, the more they make angry TikToks about men, the more they watch angry TikToks about men. Because remember, we talked about the short video economy and the way it's like decentralized. The more they engage in all this like angry content towards men, the more miserable they get, and then the harder it is to partner. And especially as you get older too, like it's really tough. Like if you spend a lot of time like saturating in like man-hating content, it becomes very hard to then like become attracted to men and like date men, like in your like life. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me check. Let me check the Instagram chat. Oh no, shoot! I have Instagram chats. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Hold on. I meant leave. Tilly is here. What's up, Tilly? Tilly, friend of the channel. That's awesome. Women don't need a song to hate men. They just have to meet you, Theo. Friend of the channel. Damn it. I wish you guys could see this on the YouTube chat. Those shitty men make me look better. Just appreciate the beautiful person in your life. It's not that difficult, man. Yeah, it's like, well, okay. Well, the reason that like the guys act the way that they do. I mean, I've seen these clavicular videos. We're gonna have to do a separate show on some of these clavicular videos where it's all these girls. Like, first of all, women just throw themselves at him, and a lot of them are cheating on their boyfriends. And so what he's been doing is just exposing them for cheating on their boyfriends and for like being desperate to like throw themselves at him and get into his parties. They'll just put them on stream and then expose them for cheating on their boyfriends. And it's like the guys who are in that position, who are getting a ton of access to women, do not appreciate them because they are spoiled for choice. They have so much access that it's just not that interesting to them. They're like, whatever. And also the thing is, if you have a lot of interactions with women, you will have those interactions where it's like, oh, this girl is throwing herself at me and she's actively cheating on someone while she does it. And that's a huge bummer. Like, that sucks. That sucks to find out. Like, I had that happen this last tour I was on. I had that happen like 3 or 4 different times, where a woman who like actively had a boyfriend or a husband or whatever was like trying to get at me. You know, not because I'm like particularly like desired, not because I'm like hot shit or whatever. It's just like when somebody like just saw you perform comedy, they have like has like a weird effect on people. And it makes them think you're like successful or whatever, or like attractive or whatever, because they just saw you on stage talking to people. It's weird. It's temporary. Like, it doesn't happen when I'm at like 7-Eleven or whatever, but it will happen when I do comedy. So it's like a temporary halo effect that you get in that one type of environment. And yeah, it's like, but the like, that is pretty demoralizing. And that is because of like a low trust environment. There's a lot more women who are willing to just cast their partners aside and cheat on them than there maybe were at other points. I think, I don't know that 100%. It may be that women have always been low down, rotten, dirty cheaters. That's always been true, but it does seem like a lot more common. And when I talk to older women about this, they're surprised at the degree to which younger women are willing to cheat and just like toss away their relationships and step outside their relationships. So I don't know. Maybe it's hard for me to tell because I wasn't there. If maybe it's always been like that, but it does seem like some combination of low trust environment, dating apps, social media, culture, whatever, has made it so that people are just like a lot more willing to kick their man to the curb and try to latch onto a different man, even if it's like temporary attention. That's what's crazy. You know, I had one situation. I'm not going to say where it happened or when it happened, but there was a young lady who was like, this happened a couple different times, but I'll just tell one story. There's a young lady who was hitting on me, and I asked her, there was a dude sitting at the table, and I asked her, hey, is that your man? And she was like, no, don't worry about it. And so I was like, okay, cool. And we're just like talking, hanging out after the show, whatever. We're talking, things are going well. She's being very friendly. And then this guy gets all huffy, and she's like, fine, I have to deal with this. And then they get they go have an argument in the corner, and then they like leave together. And it turns out that was her boyfriend of 3 years that she was just like dogging out like that. And it was like, what? Why didn't you tell? Bro, I feel bad. I felt bad because I didn't know. I was judging based on her actions, that because I'm like a trusting person, unfortunately, despite all appearances. I am kind of a trusting person. So I just assumed, because of the way she was acting towards me, that she was like single and available. And she gave me her phone number. I didn't ask for her phone number. She just gave it to me. And so I assumed that she was like, you know, down to clown, and she was like available, and it ended up not being true. So it ended like she was dogging the dude out, and he was sitting right there. And that's happened more than once, where I've had a woman give me her phone number and make sure that I had it, and their man was like sitting right there. And it's like, dude, that makes me not want to, because here's the thing, anything she'll do for you, she'll do to you, right? So if I was sitting there, if I was sitting here and that was my girl, and fucking Matt Rife or whoever was sitting across the table, she'd be throwing pussy at Matt Rife, right? So you know what I mean? Like if Henry Cavill was over there, she'd be throwing pussy at Henry Cavill. It's like if there was like a more successful, higher status, you know, more handsome guy there, she would throw me under the bus to get to that guy, right? Like her strategy is just do whatever you have to do short term to get to the best guy available, which is that's how you operate in a low trust environment. That's so like radically self-interested that it's like irrational. It doesn't even make sense to do that. But that's, a lot of people are operating that way right now because they don't, I don't know, they just don't really like, men as people. Man, it's hard as a dude to like see that and then be like, yes, I would love to get into a relationship now. So that's where I'm coming from. Like, it's hard to see that and then be like, yes, I would like to, because I don't want to be the guy whose, girl is like jumping on other dudes. Hold on. Tilly's left other comment. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm hoping to get lucky tonight and not have to spend a pot of gold. Rooting for you, buddy. Rooting for you, buddy. Shout out Tilly, friend of the channel. Gotta love Tilly. Anyway, yeah, I'm telling you, man, this stuff is like, it's brutal, man. It's brutal out here. Yeah, dude, it's tough. And this is that, and more on the propaganda. I actually want to pull this up. So this is another story. This is from New York Magazine. It's a website called The Cut, which is from New York Magazine. Stuff that didn't make the magazine, but they put it online. It says, I regret having children. Basically, this is just a bunch of like millennial women who hate having babies. It's like, is your whole life gonna suck if you have a baby? Yes. Whoa, that really cool data entry job you have? Well, if you have a baby, you won't be able to do that anymore. Whoa. That's the fucking article, basically. And we've all seen like a ton of these, so I don't need to really go through it. We've all seen a ton of this. There's a ton of like propaganda online that's basically just trying to get women to think that like having children is like the worst fucking decision you could ever possibly make. And if you talk to people, like obviously like having kids is stressful, and there are people online who don't like it. And look, and I'm saying this as a person who doesn't have any kids, right? So it's easy for me to say because I don't have any kids, but it just does kind of seem like it's, most of the time when I talk to people, it's one of the most meaningful things that you can do with your life is to create the next generation. And, I'm also coming this from a Catholic perspective. Like, I think we have a duty to the next generation to create it. We have a duty to our ancestors to create the next generation. We have a duty to the people that exist in the present to, pass things along to keep the society going. I mean, our ancestors like sweat and bled and died so that we could have a civilization. It makes sense for us to continue it in the future. And most people who have kids are actually glad that they have them, believe it or not. I mean, contrary to the media narrative. But if you're just following the media narrative, I found 3 articles on The Cut alone, which are talking about how motherhood ruins your life. And there's a ton. There's a whole subreddit dedicated to like people who regret being parents. And there's a ton of people who are like advocating for like a dual income, no kids lifestyle, which like, bro, whatever, bro, like chill, whatever makes you happy, dude. But I do think we have a duty to the next generation to create it. And of course, it's easy for me to sit here and say that as somebody with no kids. I would like to have kids. That'd be sick, but like it hasn't worked out that way yet. But I'm doing my best. It is really hard to form relationships. I will say that. I'm 34 years old. Most of my friends are pretty close in age to me. Very few of them have kids. Some of them have kids on the way. Shout out to my friends who have kids on the way. Very exciting. I have a friend who's due in May. That's a couple of months coming up. Very exciting. God bless them and their new family. That's awesome. And I got another buddy who just got married this past year, and they're expecting their first. So God bless Catholics, right, for having kids on purpose. We love that. But then also like a third of Gen Z got aborted, which is a crazy stat. And regardless of, how you feel about, abortion as healthcare or whatever, like a third feels like a lot. A third feels like a lot. That feels high. I don't know what it should be, but a third feels high. Don't you think? Like that, even if you're like the most rabidly pro-abortion person in the world, a third feels high. And I don't know. I feel like we're kind of like, you know how like pandas when they get in captivity, they don't breed because they lack all the challenges of like the natural world, or like tigers, or like they just don't want to just don't want to do anything because they're in captivity. I think a lot of us in our little like shoebox apartments and in big cities where we don't know anybody, we don't have any sense of community, we never get into nature, and we don't face a lot of physical challenges, and we live very sedentary lifestyles. I think a lot of us are kind of feeling like zoo animals, and it's kind of making us go crazy and get depressed and not want to have children. Also, like it is true to a degree that if you have children, your life will must necessarily include less hedonism. Like you won't have as much time for smoking weed and jerking off if you have children. That's true. But like, I don't know. Do any of you have children? Anyone in chat right now want to wait on having children? I think it's cool. I don't know. I think it's a good idea to do. I mean, I don't know because I can't speak to it personally, but the people I know who have children are pretty psyched about it. They are stressed out though. It's the thing is like what people will always say, the main argument you hear against children is like it doesn't make you happy. And it's like, yeah, that's only relevant in the sense that the goal of life is happiness, which is just hedonism. So that just translates to hedonism. Because what they mean when they say happy is not like a meaningful sense of fulfillment. What they mean is you avoided bad feelings and you had as many good ones as possible, which is just hedonism. So, um, and that's stupid because life is suffering. Suffering is an inevitable part of life, and that's part of me as being Catholic again. So, but like suffering is an inevitable part of life, and how you're going to deal with that is going to be tough. And also, like hedonism is smart if you're going to be like young and hot forever, but we're not. Your body's going to break down, and your brain's going to start to get foggy and shitty after a while, and your body's going to suck, and you're going to have aches and pains. You're going to get old, and your skin's going to look like shit. Your hair is going to fall out. And you're just going to be kind of gross looking, and nobody's going to want to fuck you. And so then, you know, like, what are you going to do after that? You know, you got to do something with your time. What are you going to do with the second 40 years of your life? You know what I mean? The second, or like the back half of your life. You know, you're going to be like mindlessly, you know, fucking anything that walks when you're like 65 years old. I hope not. You know, hopefully you have something else to do with your time. And so that's where like having a family can be fucking sick. And I think what we've done is I don't know. I think the way that we've like really misled, particularly you see this a lot with like millennial women, where we told them just like pursue a career and like freeze your eggs and everything will be all right. I just don't think that's true, man. I really don't. And I don't know. I also think a lot of men have not benefited from having families either. I think a lot of men are in an extended state of adolescence, which is like not a good thing. I think a lot of men would benefit from having families. I'm not on this like red pill thing of like, oh, well, like have a bunch of hoes and drive fast cars and make a bunch of money and spend it on yourself and die alone. Like I'm not on that. I'm not on that. Like I think you have a duty to civilization to try to have the next generation. And it's crazy the degree to which the media is trying to push this idea that having children ruins your life, when I think it's way more likely it's like, what if I make the wrong choice? It's like, I don't fucking know, man. Figure it out. Like, dude, I not having children is way more likely to ruin your life and fill you with regret than having children is. Like I'm a big advocate of like taking a swing and seeing what happens. Like I quit trying to be a lawyer to, you know, become a comedian. So like that, I mean, I practice what I preach on that. Like I take big swings and I deal with the consequences, and you got to figure it out sometimes. Like it is what it is. So I think like having kids is kind of the same thing, where it's just like you just take a big swing and see what happens. I think you're way more likely to regret not doing it than you are to regret doing it. And to the extent that you do regret doing it, you can just get over it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like one of those things, like, you know, C.S. Lewis made an argument. I'm going to do like a retarded version of the argument, but C.S. Lewis made a really good argument. It's not my argument, but I'm going to say this. It's like a lot of people, they think that like having children is going to suck because it's like, oh, I can't like smoke weed and jerk off in the middle of the day anymore. And it's like, yeah, but there are better, higher things you could be pursuing. Like, okay, when I was 4 years old, if you told me my favorite show was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and I thought the Green Ranger was the coolest, and actually I have a power coin right here. This is a power coin. It's green on one side and white on the other. This was a gift from a person. Anyway, yeah, I thought Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was fucking sick when I was 4 years old. And if you had told me then that there was going to be a show I liked better than Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, I would have been like, fuck off, you dumb bitch. That's retarded. I wouldn't have said that because I was 4. I didn't talk like that when I was 4. But I've been like, fuck off, you dumb bitch. There's no way anybody's going to ever make a better show than Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. This is the best TV show that's ever existed. Fuck you. I wouldn't have believed you because I didn't have the cognitive bandwidth to process something like that. I didn't have the maturity to understand that there were higher things. And then I saw Game of Thrones, later in life. And I was like, that's fucking sick. This is better. I like this better, But when I was a kid, I didn't have the ability to process that. And having kids is kind of like that, where it's like, oh, well, I can't engage in like random hedonism anymore. But like having kids gives you something better and gives you something higher to dedicate yourself to, And it is a call to growth in a sense, and I'm speaking about this purely in the theoretical. Again, I'm paraphrasing and making a shittier version of a C.S. Lewis arguments. This isn't me who authored this. I'm just like making it palatable for you people. So it's like not my idea, but you get the idea. But like, again, you got to think, okay, because when the question is like, why are women acting like this? Okay, because I hear that a lot from as like, why are women like this? That's a big thing I hear. It's like, okay, well, think about what they're hearing from the media. Okay, that's influencing their behavior a lot. So they're hearing that, having a boyfriend is cringe, that like men are basically garbage people who serve no meaningful purpose, that the cool thing to do is to be independent, to exist without men, even though that's impossible. We live in an interdependent society in which men and women are highly dependent on each other in numerous ways that are basically invisible to us because we're several layers removed from that. But we're incredibly interdependent on each other, whether we're aware of it consciously or not, right? But still, the idea is like, well, I'm going to be like independent from men and having children. You won't be hot anymore. And which, by the way, is inevitable no matter what. You're going to be like not. I think they see like Jennifer Lopez being hot at 60 and they're like, that's going to be me. And I'm like, yeah, but she had to drink the blood of a bunch of infants to do that. You know what I mean? She spent a fortune on plastic surgery and she's probably still tired with like fucking achy joints. You think her fucking achy old lady joints want to be wearing those stripper heels? Think she wants to do that? Like, come on. At some point, don't you want to be an abuela? At some point? Come on, sweetheart. Come on. Don't you want to be an abuela? Don't you? That's the thing, is like, you don't want to be like hot forever. Like, you really want to be like competing with fucking 22-year-olds? I'm 34. I don't want to go to the club now. Like, I'm already retired. I'm retired. I don't want to do this shit anymore. I don't want to be single now. I want this to be over. I am done. I had as much singleness as I wanted to have. I'm done with it. I don't want to do it. People ask me, why don't you go? Come on, go out there and talk to. It's like, no, fucking no. I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. Now, dude, when I go on a date now, I think about it like I used to go on dates and I would be like, oh man, this could be the day that changes my life forever. And now I think about it like I'm going to like test drive a gently used Honda Civic that I saw on Craigslist. Like 2003, that's a good year. That's probably, yeah, that's a high mileage, but that's about what I could expect for where I'm at in my life right now. So hopefully the maintenance costs aren't too high. That's why I think of it. That's how I think of dating now. It's just like, I'm not, and it's like, it sucks for the girl because it's like, I'm not excited to be there. And it's like, I wish I could be excited. But at this point, I've just been disappointed. Life has disappointed all of the optimism out of me. Like, I know I'm not going to have feelings for this person. I just want somebody to put some babies in and call it a day. Basically, that's kind of where I'm at. And that's a huge bummer. I wish it wasn't like that, but like, that's how it is. So, and I think a lot of the women kind of feel the same way. They're just like, they keep hoping that like they're going to not be disappointed. And then it's just like disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. And then they listen to Sabrina Carpenter and they watch the TikTok videos, and then they get they get pumped through The Cut, which, let's see, Strider's right here. The Cut is the most inhuman publication I've ever seen. Guarantee they're sponsored by some anti-natalist group. Yeah, it's basically people who, for those of you that don't know, anti-natalism is a political philosophy that wants people to not have children because they view human beings as a parasite that you know doesn't that makes the planet actively worse. They also believe that they have this weird idea that, like, because you didn't consent to be born, that to bring someone into the world is to inflict suffering upon them, and that this violates some idea about not doing harm to your fellow living things or whatever. It's kind of convoluted, and they don't embrace the idea that life is suffering. It's also atheistic, so they don't embrace the idea that, like, life is suffering, and that being fruitful and multiply is an inherent good end in itself. Like, they don't embrace any of that. And they also, embrace environmentalist ideas that, there's a finite amount of resources on Earth, and that as we destroy them all, that the more humans that we have, basically, the more we, destroy and pollute the Earth. And so that's all bad. So we got to, like, basically decrease the surplus population. So they're like, what? So they're not quite at, hey, we need to, kill a bunch of people. But they're like, hey, we probably shouldn't make more people. That's kind of where they're at. And their goal is to try to, through propaganda, encourage other people to also think like that. And basically people to just get demoralized and, like, not have children, which is a huge fucking bummer, because for a lot of people, children are the most meaningful thing about their lives. Like, people get psyched about children. They get frustrated with their children. It's a big up and down, like, emotional experience, but meaning isn't the same thing as happiness. That's also tricky. A lot of people don't understand that, yeah, if you have children, you're going to be worried about them a lot. You're going to be angry at them sometimes because they're going to say stupid things, and they're going to do stupid things. And you're going to be like, don't do that. And then you're going to give them advice, and they're not going to listen. And they're going to act like you in ways that annoy you and all that stuff. Like, all that is, like, part of the deal. But that whole, like, roller coaster of experience is a big part of what makes life worth living. And I think we're not, being honest with people about that. It's just like, study shows that pregnancy makes you fat and unhappy. And then women will see that and be like, no, I don't want to be fat and unhappy. I want to be hot and happy. So I'm just not going to do that. I'm just going to it doesn't show that, like, being fucking, being out chasing dick at 65 years old isn't going to make you happy either, but, like, but it's like, the thing is, like, you're going to fucking suffer no matter what. You just get to choose. Do you want to suffer and then have, like, a family around you that loves you? Or do you want to, like, suffer and die alone? That's really what it comes down to, I think. As the suffering part is inevitable. Anyway, speaking of having children, this is going to be kind of an interesting video. I actually just saw this today. We're going to bring this up. Boop. This was off of Bill Maher's show. So this is an actor named Jerry O'Connell, and he's talking about his family and their reaction to the Trump election. Anyway, this is great. Bill Maher is great because he gets these guys to open up like this, which we're going to go ahead and watch this. Go ahead. Bear in mind, do not feel bad for this guy because all of his problems are self-inflicted. Go ahead.
I'm going to tell you about a bit of, I say this, will I stay married? Blow it over here.
Look how scared he is. This is very funny because Bill Maher is not married, so he doesn't give a fuck. Go ahead. I've definitely had conversations like this, by the way, as the unmarried guy in my group. I've lost a lot of good friends to marriage, by the way. I have a buddy I can't hang out with anymore because he talks to his wife and they decided that it's not good for him to hang out with me because misogyny is my main personality trait or something like that. So I can't hang out with him anymore. I lost a lot of good friends to marriage. I have one buddy who just, like, every time he gets in trouble with his wife, like if he gets caught going to the strip club or staying too late at a bar, he's like, oh yeah, Theo did it. And then she I wasn't even there. I'm not even in the same city as this motherfucker. And he's still blaming stuff on me if he wants to get out of trouble with his wife. which is wild. But anyway, go ahead.
My
Sounds like you're going to blow it over here.
the night of the election, this third one,
Yeah.
third election. Everyone knows what I'm talking about here. I was watching late at night the returns, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't think Trump was going to win. I live in California. I didn't think he was going to win. From what I was hearing,
I didn't either.
I think he was going to win.
No,
This is where I live, you know?
No.
I said something along the lines of like, there was no planning. This is what they get. There should have been a primary. I said something along those lines, you know, like I was just spitballing ideas as to, it was a shock, you know. My wife and daughters, without saying anything, became physical with me. They were filled with rage. So if I
I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm just imagining this guy getting beat up by a bunch of little girls. Okay, go ahead.
am being careful with you in how I say things, yes, I live in California. I live with not one, not two, but three people who, if I made any kind of joke, they would they'd become very angry with me. You know,
Well,
so
I
I'm
don't want to tell you how to live your life, but I couldn't live that way.
Yeah. Yeah, for real. Tell him, Bill. Tell him, Bill. That's fucking crazy. Can you imagine, like, not saying your opinions in your own house because you're scared of getting beat up by your daughters? What a pussy. Again, this is why I don't feel bad for this guy. He did it to himself. This is just, he did it to himself, so I don't feel bad for him. Go ahead.
I would, whatever household or whatever situation I'm in, I say what I truly think. And if it makes you angry, I'm sorry. We'll have to work that out.
well, it makes
But I am not going to tuck my tail between my legs and just shut the fuck up. This is what you were dealing with when you were a child. Just sit there and don't say anything.
Yeah, but-
Sit on your hands. But what happened to Rob Reiner? More of that, Jerry. More of that.
Yeah.
Where's Rob Reiner's ghost when you need him to be telling you more of that?
Yeah.
I feel like, so Bill Maher's like 5'6", so this guy's like 6 something probably, and he's getting beat up by his daughters. That's crazy. Yeah, it became physical. So he let his wife and daughters assault him. Man, like, this make me sick. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, Strider. It's just, I think so. I don't know how does that, I think that dynamic is created if I had to kind of like reverse engineer it. If I had a Monday morning quarterback this guy's situation, what I'm guessing happens is he spent a long time just not saying his real opinions and just placating whatever he had to say to keep his wife from getting angry. And then he had 2 daughters and he kept doing that and just kept doing that and kept doing that and kept doing that and kept doing that. And they just learned over time. They didn't really have to respect him or like value his opinion at all. And they just look at him as just like an outlet for their rage and they could just like take it out on him. Which is a huge bummer, because that means he's like not doing his job. Like if his wife and children are that psychotically angry about the election results, then I understand being upset because the election didn't break your way. But if you're like so angry that you're gonna like fight somebody over it, I don't know what he means by became physical, and that isn't clarified, so I'm not gonna speculate. But like if you're that angry that you want to like fight somebody about it, then like especially somebody who's close to you, then you probably do need to chill out. Like, I'm not trying to be a hater. Like, I'm not trying to tell him how to run his house, but you probably do need to chill out. And actually, his job, if he wants to be a good father and a good husband, is to be like, hey, guys, maybe we should chill out. Maybe we should chill out. It's all right. Look, I know this isn't what we wanted. This is not what we voted for, but we're going to be all right as a family. We're going to be good. And he's pretty well off financially, I would assume. You know, he's been in some movies. So I assume he's pretty well off financially. So they're like their life isn't going to get noticeably worse as a result of Trump being in office. But I think a lot of guys who are like not as, you know, well off as him are basically living this way. And this is downstream of a lot of things. By the way, this is not, Yeah, this is what happens when your family doesn't respect you. I think a lot of guys are trapped in a situation like that where they work really hard, but they're still with a wife or kids or whatever who fundamentally do not respect them and think that they are kind of like a doofus. Like there's nobody that you like respects that you would treat the way that he's describing, right? That just wouldn't happen. Wouldn't happen. So it's a huge bummer, man. Huge bummer. So but I don't feel bad for him because again, this could have been avoided if from the beginning of the relationship he had just like said his actual opinions. Now, there is a problem. If you say your actual opinions, you're running the risk that the person you're talking to might be upset and they might reject you. And some guys are so uncomfortable with the prospect of like being alone or not being in a relationship or not being able to talk to somebody or not having somebody around that they do not want to share their actual opinions, or they'll shield their actual opinions because sometimes women get upset and they can't tolerate it. But I got some news for you. If women are upset, like give it 10 minutes. They will probably be something else in 10 minutes. Like, it doesn't last forever. That's the thing. They're upset right now. They might not be upset 10 minutes from now. Give them a second. It's okay. You could just be like, okay, like just because they're upset doesn't mean you have to get like scared or upset or whatever. You could just be like, all right, that's fine. You just wait for it to be over and they might be less upset. Like, seriously, you could just wait. You could just wait and they'll be less upset in a little bit. So it's like it's like really not that crazy. And I mean, to some extent, I do. There is an extent to which I feel bad for this guy, I guess, but this is because he created this situation himself by not expressing his true authentic opinions early and often. This is where you get. He knows that he'll just shut up and do whatever his wife said. Like my buddy who's not allowed to hang out with me anymore because he and his wife discussed it and they together decided that misogyny was my whole personality. I think about that. I found that out a couple of weeks ago that I hadn't seen him in a while, and that was why, because I'm not allowed to hang out with him. Well, that's why. So every guy that's cool has a situation like that. Like somebody, like I keep losing friends to marriage. I hope that doesn't happen. Well, actually, that's not true. Like most of my friends now, I get along good with their wives. So it's not a huge issue. But yeah, that happens periodically. I lose friends to marriage. I think because I encourage, wrong think. Yeah, I encourage wrong think. People feel a certain type of way about the things that I say and do. I don't mind it as much. It's a huge bummer, but like I guess and this is, I think, more common in places like California and places where like left-wing thought predominates and where the people are very left. A lot of women are just like not used to being disagreed with, especially not by men. Even because if you disagree with women, even gently, it like horrifies them. A lot of women are not aware that the men around them are placating them all the time. Like every single second that they're awake, basically, the men in their lives are placating them and lying to them and like babysitting their emotions because they just can't tolerate it when they're upset. And it's just, I'm blessed in a sense because women are constantly upset with me. There's every single second of every single day, there's a woman somewhere that's upset with me. Pretty much. So I had to develop a tolerance for it. And yeah, it's just, you just got to deal with it and they'll be upset for a while and then they will change. A lot of men don't realize that they'll be upset kind of temporarily. And just because they're upset doesn't make them right. And it's actually bad for a person's development if every time they throw a hissy fit, you just cave to their demands, no matter how unreasonable they are. To the point that you have to, keep your opinions to yourself, because that's not a real relationship. If you're keeping your opinions to yourself and you're not being authentic within the relationship because you're afraid that the person you're talking to is going to get upset, you're not really sharing yourself with that person. Not really. So that's a tough way to live, man. But there's a lot of guys. I think we all know guys who live that way, who have wives that just completely run their lives. and their opinion doesn't count for anything. And they're just terrified that she's going to get upset. And she's just like a fire hose of criticism. You know, I feel what does bum me out a little bit is that his daughters have taken the cues from his wife that like, this is how we treat dad. It sucks because like dad is like a, you know, wildly successful multimillionaire who funds their whole lifestyle. And they've come to the conclusion that this is like not a person that they should respect. They should be down on their knees thanking him every single day that he works as hard as he does, but they don't because he, I guess, bends over backwards to accommodate their, you know, their emotional outbursts, especially since like what he said was right. The Democrats really should have had a primary. Like that would have been a better choice. Are we really saying that like, you know, Kamala Harris was the best they could have done in that election? You really didn't think, I didn't think Trump was going to win either. I thought they were going to come up with something, right? You know, is that really the best they could do? I don't know. I thought that would have been great. I thought it would have been great if they came up with something better. I don't know. So yeah. So I don't know. Anyway, we got a couple more of these I want to get through. So I saw this podcast clip. So with Dr. Deborah So, who is a sexologist, which it's hard for me to believe that's a real job, but I'll get to that in 1 second. Sponsor this half hour, Peach Vibe Celsius. Man, I drink way too many Peach Vibe Celsius. Peach Vibe Celsius. If you want to, you know, feel your blood vessels vibrating, Peach Vibe Celsius. You know, also sponsor this half hour, Girls Who Deadlift. Are you tired of moving furniture by yourself? Get a girl who deadlifts. All right. Let's go ahead and get this on the screen here. So this is an interesting. So she's a purported sexologist, and she's been kind of doing the podcast circuit, saying that like porn is like bad for men lately, which I agree with fundamentally. Like I'm fundamentally against porn. Oh wait, hold on, we got chat here. Notice how they got mad at for saying something objectively true. Yeah, that will fucking ruin. A lot of women are for some reason like that. I mean, you can tell a person's level of emotional maturity based on how much unpleasant truth they can tolerate. And unfortunately, I think this is downstream of the way our society has treated women, where it tells them a lot of things that are not necessarily true, but are nice to believe. Like, for instance, your body mass index does not affect your attractiveness. Is not true, but it's something that we tell that we scream from the hilltops with like body positivity, that your body mass index does not affect your attractiveness, that as long as you can have any man you want, as long as you like manifest it or believe in yourself hard enough, or as long as if you set your standards really high, that will result in you getting a man who meets those standards. Like we tell women that's not really true. You can get the man you can get. That's going to be based on who finds you attractive. And that's going to depend a lot on how attractive you are. And that's going to vary a little bit based on individuals. But the truth is, like, there are some things that are generally true about attractiveness that aren't going to change. Like not everybody's a 10. That's just how it is. And it's like, it's who is a 10 is going to depend a little bit on who you ask. But the reality is not everybody's a 10. It just is what it is. So saying things that are true but unpleasant to think about is a great way. A lot of women are going to get really upset by that because they're used to being coddled and having their like emotions, you know, catered to. So, and unfortunately, like men get less of that. Like in general, like men are more tolerant of unpleasant truths than women are in general, not universally. And a lot of that, by the way, if you meet a beautiful woman who is a high degree of emotional maturity, she can really tolerate unpleasant truths. That is because she had fathers or brothers who are willing to tell her the truth, even though it might upset her. That's a big part of like loving somebody, is telling them the truth, even if it's going to be upsetting. And that doesn't mean you're mean. It just means you tell them the truth. right? And unfortunately, a problem with a lot of women, especially if they're very beautiful, which I imagine what's his fuck's wife is really hot. If you with beautiful women, a lot of times the men who are around them are just lying to them all the time because they want something from them or because they just don't want to upset them. I don't think women realize the degree to which their reality is catered to them by men who are placating them. They don't understand how much of reality they're being shielded from by men who just don't want to deal with their emotions. And by the way, that's like not a loving thing to do. That's like not a nice thing to do. That's like not a good thing to do, but it is something that a lot of men are doing. It just is what it is. I hate to say it. I wish it were not true. I wish we were just like telling people the truth. That doesn't mean you have to be mean or rude or short with people. You could find a compassionate way to do it. I find that humor is helpful. Like if you can make somebody laugh while you tell them the truth, and they tend to take it a lot better. I think Oscar Wilde said, it makes somebody laugh while you tell them the truth or else they'll kill you. Which is, I think, kind of true. Some people don't like hearing the truth, even when it's funny. Some people don't like hearing the truth, and all of us, there's true things that all of us don't want to accept. I mean, that's a human trait. It's not like particular to women, but yeah, especially with beautiful women, a lot of men will just lie and lie and lie to them because they don't want to deal with their emotions and they don't want them to leave or go away or whatever. They don't want to not have their company. A huge bummer. Not good. So unfortunately, once you get in that, if you go into your relationship lying about reality, you're going to have to continue lying about reality if you want to continue the relationship. And so now he's in a situation where he's twisted into a pretzel because he isn't able to tell the truth to these people who that he lives in the house with. And it's like, they're going to be so angry with me. It's like, yeah, but who gives a shit? It's your house, bro. You pay them, but what are they going to do? Move? Okay, you don't like what I'm saying? Go live on the fucking sidewalk. See ya. You know what I mean? Like, who gives a shit? Anyway, coming up on the end of the show here. We'll do one more story, then we'll see how we go. This is something that I saw. This is Deborah. So she's been doing the podcast circuit, talking about how porn is bad for men, which is something that like I endorsed on this show. I agree. Like porn is fucking horrible for men, and we shouldn't do it. But her argument is that porn is causing men to do like perverse sex acts on women, and in my experience, it's been something very different. So we're gonna go ahead and watch the video clip, and then we're gonna talk about it. Go ahead. Yep. Let's see.
What is going on with choking in sex? When this first started getting reported on,
by the way, great question. Go ahead.
Women would say, I don't like this. I don't know what's going on. I would go home with someone, and they would interview these women who had experiences like this. And they would say non-consensual violence during sex. So choking, being spat on, being called names, being slapped and hit, things like that. They would say, I don't know where these men are getting the idea that this is acceptable or that.
From women. They're getting the idea from women. Women are asking them to do that, and they're doing it. That's what's happening. To be clear, to be 100% clear, every gross, weird, fucked up thing I've ever done sexually, some woman asked me to do it. Every single time. Never once was it my idea. Never one time was it my idea. Go ahead.
I'd want them to do this. So that's millennial women. And now.
Lies. That's just a lie. Like, I don't know what else to say. I don't know what the fuck the data says. I don't know if this is like self-reported. This must be from I don't know what the data is. I haven't dug into the study. This has to be some kind of like self-reported horse shit, because that's a fucking lie. That's a fucking lie. As somebody I've dated millennial, Gen Z, Gen X, the whole gambit. And, every time I was asked to do something like weird and fucked up that made me deeply uncomfortable, it was like some woman asked me to do it because that's what she was into. Okay, this is just.
Nowadays, what we see with Gen Z women is that they will experience the same things, but they're more inclined to say that they like it, or they will ask a male partner to actually do it. They'll initially.
I will say Gen Z women do seem to be more fucked up. That's true. And it is. And she's going to make the argument that that's due to early porn exposure. And I do think that is true to some degree. Gen Z women do seem to be into more fucked up shit.
Themselves. I don't believe that most women, regardless.
And for those of you that think I'm kink shaming, I am kink shaming. Yes, you're into weird fucked up shit. You all need to go to church. Stop peeing on people. Stop it.
This generation actually wants to be strangled during sex. One, it's potentially fatal, so you can die. There's no safe way to do this. There's a very high chance of losing consciousness, brain damage, permanent mental health issues down the line, especially if you...
Yeah, to be clear, do not choke women. Not approved. Don't do it. Unless they're talking a lot. Then no, I'm kidding. Don't do that. Do not choke women here.
Have any form of loss of consciousness.
Why are Gen Z women more likely to say they like it?
Because they grew up watching porn from a very young age, or they were exposed to porn at such a...
Yeah, I think that's probably true to some degree. Yeah, I'm not going to completely say that that's wrong. But no, that's completely no. It's not men who are pushing women to engage in like dangerous sex acts. It is definitely women who are asking for it. Like, at least in my experience. I mean, look, Chad, maybe you guys are out here doing wild shit, or whatever. Maybe you guys are doing that. No, absolutely not. And by the way, you read women's, if you look at what women's porn consumption is, which is mostly in the form of smut, it seems like they want a guy who's going to fuck the shit out of them and maybe will also kill them. So if you look at who's actually we have a study on this. Thank you, Rolo Tomasi, for posting this. Hold on. Let me share my screen real quick. Let's see. And then, yeah, we actually have, we have some new study, interviewed 302 adults which is not a very large sample size, to be clear. Of those, more women enjoy, and it doesn't break it up by generation as far as I know. Of those, more women enjoyed aggression in porn, aroused by portrayal of female pain, and reported wanting to see more aggression. Not representative, but indicative. So yeah, it's like, yeah, it does. So according to shit, aggression is arousing, way more women. Hard aggression is arousing, way more women. Would like more aggression in mainstream porn, way more women. Actively seek aggression, way more women. Aroused by women showing pleasure in response to aggression, that one men do respond to. But what men are responding there is not the aggression, it's the female pleasure. So this is the thing. Men want the women they're fucking to enjoy the sex they're having. And apparently women want to get fucked up physically. Aroused by women showing pain in response to aggression, way more women respond to that. See what I'm saying? So again, and this is a relatively small survey that's half men and half women. So relatively small sample size. But I do think that's certainly indicative of, what I've seen. At least like being in the streets. Now I'm not really in the streets. Like in my experience, it is like women who are asking for like fucked up stuff sexually. I think to like pass this stuff on like male porn consumption is just like not representative of reality. Especially if you look at the fucking shit women are reading. The stuff women are reading is like, it's all like fucking murder porn. I mean, that seems to be what women are into, for better or for worse. And look, I'm not judging it. I'm not saying it's bad or good or whatever. It just seems to be a fact. Like women are, like, I've never choked a woman who didn't ask me to do it right before. I'd kind of demand and kind of get mad at me. And then if you're like, hey, I don't want to do that, they'll be like, what are you, fucking gay? Like, they'll get fucking aggressive with you if you're like too much of a pussy to like, choke them and spit on them and call them a fat pig. It's like, I'd rather not. Can I just like be nice to you? Can we just cuddle and like watch Disney movies? Is that chill? Like, do we have to do all that? She's like, whatever. They really don't respect it if you like treat them well. I don't know what is causing that. I don't know if it's like porn consumption or like what the fuck it is, or if it's like smut or whatever. I have no idea. I have no idea, but it does kind of seem like it's like the idea that this is like driven by male desire is just wildly inaccurate. Like, I don't know how you could draw that conclusion. That just like does not bear out the field. And this is what we're talking about with like studies. I'm assuming that data is like self-reported, and the women who were being interviewed probably didn't want to sound slutty to the person they were talking to, and they didn't want to be judged. So they said, oh yeah, he wanted to do it. I didn't really want to do it, but I did. I just went along with it. But like, no, that's not reality. That's not reality. Let's stop like acting like that's, it's completely made up. So let's see. I'm sorry, no, women may not like joking, understandable, but they do like the hand on the throat, and I guarantee it's their fault for not communicating the difference. Yeah, well, yeah, I think I think first of all, I think, yeah, women are asking, asking guys to do. I think the idea that like women are initiating the violent shit is like way more accurate than the idea that like men are initiating it. Also, like from a liability perspective, especially if you like do not know the person well, it's just like not a good idea to just do like violent, aberrant sex acts with people you don't know well. That's not a good idea. I mean, it's not a good idea to fuck people you don't know well anyway. But I mean, it's certainly not a good idea to choke somebody you don't know well. I mean, good lord. Good lord. But yeah, this idea that women are like innocent baby angels who don't are not interested in, violent sex acts is just like not borne out in reality in their porn consumption or in their actual behavior. That's just not reality. I don't know where we're getting that idea. I don't know where we're getting that idea. That's crazy. So I don't know. It just seems like it's more of this this broader cultural idea that like everything wrong with the dating market is men's fault and that women bear 0% of the responsibility. And I don't think they bear an inordinate sense of the responsibility, but I think they should take at least half. I think they got to take at least half the blame. I got to be honest. If we're going to end this gender war shit, I think women have to take at least half the blame. But I also think if we're going to sit around waiting for them to take half the blame, that we're going to be waiting for a long time. Like we may just have to accept the fact that women are just like never going to accept any responsibility for any of it. We may just have to be like, well, all right, dude, whatever. And just accept it. Ah, man. But it sucks, man. But it's like, yeah, it's like this idea that like of blaming men for everything, dismissing, men's opinions is fundamentally unimportant, talking about how like men are useless and stupid is just kind of been totally normalized. And it's weird because it's happening in a society that like men basically built. And we like invented everything and built everything and maintained everything and created all the infrastructure and created all the safety and enforced all the laws and wrote all the laws and did the stuff. And now it's just, I think now that we are so far removed from nature and chaos and barbarian invasions and all that stuff, all this like wild shit that used to be a real part of life in the ancient world, all that stuff is gone now. And so I think people are so comfortable and smug in their life that it's easy to just kind of like, spit in the face of men. I also think that, we live in a society that doesn't creates a lot of male losers. And so I think women, the metrics they use to evaluate how well they're doing. Like, I remember a lot of these women, they went to college and they got a degree and then they were told that made them an aristocrat who was smarter and better than everybody. And they look around, they see men not having degrees. Now, some of that is because of the school system is hostile to men. Some of that is because a college degree isn't what it used to be. And a lot of men are kind of looking at the writing on the wall. It's like, well, I'm not going to go to the propaganda mill that's not going to get me a good job and is going to put me into debt. I'm going to go make my own way. I'm going to go into the trades. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to do something else. Because like once you get on that academic pipeline, it's like, kind of over. You get kind of locked in. And you end up taking on a lot of debt. So I think what's perceived as, men being losers is like men realizing that the rewards that existed for, like buy-in to the society are no longer there. Like it used to be, if you bought into society, followed all the rules, went to school like you were supposed to, you got a job like you were supposed to, you got a house and a wife and kids and all that stuff. And now none of that stuff is available. Most guys are not getting that things, no matter how many rules they follow, no matter what they do, they're not getting that traditional reward for buying into the society, which is you got your own little piece of life. Like that has now seems most really out of reach for most guys. And it's hard to even get like a girlfriend who's nice to you, much less like a wife and kids and a fence and a dog and all that stuff. It's hard to even get like a girlfriend who's like a little bit nice to you. Like most guys don't have that. The guys who have that are like, I'm deeply envious of, like a girlfriend who's like a little bit nice to you, you know, deeply envious of that. So that's hard to get. So, and because of that, I think a lot of guys are checking out. And because of that, I think, you know, we have like we've wildly overcreated like male losers, and women are just like not super into male losers. So it creates this, and then combine that with a media narrative telling that men are losers all the time. It's like we're kind of in this like self-reinforcing cycle of sludge and bullshit. You know, prescriptively, I think the answer is to just like stop consuming online content. Like just stop doing it. And I know I'm saying this, like I'm going to dice this up into short videos and then release the shorts. So, I mean, you do whatever you want with that. So I'm contributing to the slop at the same time that I'm telling you guys to stop watching the slop. So do whatever you want with that, I guess. But yeah, I think the answer is to go out and talk to real people. Like I said, when I go out and talk to real people, I will say women in rural areas are a lot more likely to say that they do like men, they do need men, and regardless of whatever experiences they've had with men, they're still pro man, generally speaking, right? It's way more likely. It's the women in urban environments who are likely to say that they just are openly disdaining men. It's more of like a metropolitan idea. However, that metropolitan culture is transmitted through short videos. So a lot of women that she could be if she's in a rural area, but TikTok is her whole personality, then she's going to have a lot of these man-hating beliefs too. And a lot of it is like, you know, she doesn't have like good men in her immediate circle and her family. She doesn't have brothers and a father or uncles or whatever that she like likes and respects. Then she's just and she learns about men from like TikTok or whatever. Then yeah, she's going to have a lot of these like man-hating beliefs too. So, but I think, yeah, the general cultural bias against men is kind of gross. And what's weird about it is if you bring it up, people are be like, what are you, ridiculous? Is the oppression in the room with us right now? And it's like, bro, just like fucking like turn on the TV, you know, turn on the TV and like watch anything, like look at the music, look at anything. So it's become super normal, and it's hard because like, and I'm coming up from a perspective of, in general, women are pretty nice to me. So, so I'm not like I do a little bit, you know, sometimes, you know, after a performance, somebody wants to yell at me in a parking lot or whatever. But like for the most part, women are pretty nice to me. And even I see this, you know, from time to time. I actually think that the women yelling at men are not, at least it's not apathy, right? I think apathy is worse. Oh, Sherry's here. What's up, girl? What's up, girl? Lovely Sherry. Shout out to the 4%. We love you guys. Happy to be here. That's what I'm saying. The women who listen to this show, I have no notes for. Like I always say, you guys already are doing everything right. So I don't have any notes for you guys. But this is just like, you know, when you go out into the world, I think the women who are like yelling at men are actually, at least if you're fighting, you still care. Like apathy, I can't deal with, because apathy, you're checked out or you're done. But that's what I think a lot of men forget is if the woman is yelling, she still cares. She still cares enough that it's possible for her to be hurt, you know? And I do, you know, a lot of women are, I would say, chronically disappointed with men, which means they still, I think a lot of these, especially these female content creators, because I see a lot of these girls who make content about how horrible men are. And then they're like, I haven't been on a date in 4 years. And I'm like, oh, honey, well, there's your problem. Like you want this to go well. You just don't have the tools to make that happen. And you live in a culture that's trying to program you to either hate men or want impossible things for men. I think a lot of women are programmed to want men who act and think exactly like women. And that's always going to be a losing proposition. And I think there's pros and cons to the way men think, pros and cons to the way women think. I think they're meant to offset each other. But I think what we've done is we've made it so that like the way a lot of men think women think differently, and women think that men think wrong. And that's different. That's different. So, and a lot of men think that men think wrong too. A lot of men think that, oh, we're unevolved, we're uncivilized, we're less emotionally intelligent than women. We must adapt to the female way of doing things. And it's like, no, there's value to her way and there's like value to your way. Like women are not like more emotionally intelligent by default. A lot of these women out here are like super, but that's the thing is like as somebody who I worked a lot on my own emotional intelligence and being able to like not lose my shit when I'm in an argument with somebody and actually like keep it on the topic and avoid personal attacks and calm myself down when I feel myself getting angry, take a time out, walk away, come back later, try to stay on topic, try to be reasonable, try to listening skills big. And once you start working on things like listening skills and regulating your emotions and being able to stay in the moment and stay present in a discussion with somebody, you'll find out most people have not done that. Most people are just like wilding and just saying random emotional crap when they get in an argument. And they're just trying to win and they're just trying to take random personal attacks, like just randomly come in from the top rope and like drop a fucking elbow on you and shit. Like that, you'll find that out. Is like if you become emotionally intelligent, you're fine. Because I thought that was like a big problem in my relationships. It's like, wow, I am not able to manage my emotions very well. I'm not, a lot of my beliefs about relationships are holding me back. I'm not doing well. And then when you fix all that, you'll find out, oh, like nobody else has done any of this work at all. So everybody else is just like going with the same emotional toolkit. Like they developed their emotional toolkit in childhood. They didn't add to it at all. And that's it. That's just what they're doing. So that's just like they're out here trying to form relationships with like basically with no new information since childhood. It's like, that's a fucking bummer. And then that makes it like very difficult to, form human connections at that point. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is. I guess just like, it's just a huge bummer. And the culture is like not helping. The culture is actively trying to keep people from getting together, which is like very stupid because everyone's life would be better if people were in stable relationships. Like pretty much everybody's life could be improved by, forming a stable relationship with somebody who like really cares about you and wants you to win. Pretty much everybody would benefit from that. So I don't know why we've like demonized that to such a degree. We've been like, oh, well, I don't know why it's like stability is cool actually. And this is, by the way, this is to say nothing of the fact. One thing that I've noticed, which I didn't bring up any articles that showed this, but the amount of articles lately that are like pushing polyamory and open relationships in mainstream media is disappointing. It's like, guys, this is an argument we settled in like 2,000 years ago. This argument was settled and we're trying to bring it up again. This is crazy. It's just dumb. Just big dumb, big stupid energy. Very stupid. But this is tough, man. I don't know. So we're trying to figure it out, guys. We're trying to figure it out. We're doing the best we can. I'm trying to, like I said, I'm going to try to do less of like a politics focused show, more of like a relationship focused show going forward in the future. I think the clips are going to be better for that. We'll bring up the politics stuff if it's relevant. I still am going to talk about like there's basically the culture stuff. So when politics is relevant to culture, we'll bring it up, but I don't want to do like a politics focused show because first of all, those videos do not get the views. Second of all, I don't really have any meaningful sense that I know what the fuck is going on better than you guys do. And I'm finding out basically the information ecosystem is so distorted. Like I really can't tell what's going on. So people, like I said, people who know less than me are wildly overconfident and they're like making a ton of short videos and just polluting the ecosystem with like fake information. And which is short after short after short after short after short. And it's like, you can't possibly compete with that, And so you take two people who are like watching a completely different set of shorts and they're going to have a completely different perception about what reality is. And it's like, how do you, I don't know. So I'm going to try to like be reasonable, but we're going to focus on relationships. And the reality is like most people can't have an impact on the political processes that happen. They can't do anything about what the government is doing. Most people can't do that, but most people are going to have relationships at some point in their life, and most people can like do better there. So I'm a very like bottom up thinker. I'm not like a top down thinker. Don't clip that to make it sound like I'm more than a bottom than a top. Please don't do that. I'm asking you guys nicely, please not to do that. I know you guys love doing that. I love to clip me. You send me the clips when you make them. I don't know how it's like every single show I say something sus. I don't know why that is. Every single show I say at least one thing that when clipped out of context makes me sound gay. I don't know why that is. It's not intentional. But you guys always clip it and remind me that I said it, which I appreciate. Yeah, it's been fun. I guess I don't know. We're gonna try to get back to it. Like I said, I'm gonna try to get back into like a Tuesday, Thursday show. And then it looks like this Saturday, if I'm looking at my calendar, I'm going to try to do a touch grass. Maybe we'll dive into clavicular on touch grass because I haven't done like a dedicated clavicular show yet. Which I wanted to do that before I went on tour. I wanted to do a dedicated clavicular show where we just talk about the looks maxing space exclusively. So we might do that if that's interesting to you guys, because I think it's fascinating to me, and I think there's enough people. I mean, I think we should be paying attention to what's going on, and we should try to understand it. Not necessarily. Well, I think too many people are judging the looks maxers without understanding why the phenomenon emerged in the first place. And that's what's interesting about it to me, is like why the phenomenon emerged in the first place. So that's what I would want to discuss. So we might do that this Saturday. We'll see. We're going to be doing a touch grass Saturday for sure. We're probably going to do like a Tuesday and a Thursday show. Looks like, just looking at my calendar, it looks like that's probably the best way to do it. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I think I'm gonna wrap it up here, gang. It's been really cool hanging out with you guys. Remember, my name is Theo Snodgrass, comedian podcaster in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's been real. I'll see you guys again on Thursday, and then please enjoy the intro to my other show, Touch Grass, which will be on Saturday, as the outro to this show. If you want to see me do some live comedy, this Wednesday, I'm going to be doing a guest spot at Rick's Rollin' Barbecue over on in Las Vegas. It's owned by the Pawn Stars guys, so that's pretty cool. And then I'm going to be doing, looks like my next spot, I'm looking at my calendar here, looks like my next spot next week on the 24th, I'm going to be doing a show, I'm going to be doing another show, Laffy Taffy. I'll notice that. You know what? Fuck it. If you want to know where I'm doing comedy, just like follow my social media. That's where it's all going to be. Make sure to follow my social media. Follow me on X. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on YouTube is the most important one. Please subscribe to the YouTube if you're not already subscribed. Subscribing does a lot for channel metrics and stuff like that. So please subscribe to the channel. And buy something from the merch store. Subscribe from the to the Patreon. That would mean a lot to me personally. I'm going to get out of here. You guys take it easy. Have a great day.
Look at that crack. Stanley's crack look good. This Johnson crack look good. Well, look at my crack. No. Look at that crack.
Are we looking at Arz's cat now?
Yes. Sorry, I didn't hear a damn thing you said.
All right.
And because I was a gazillionaire and I like doing it so much, I cut that price for free.
The species is dying. The birth rate is plummeting. Women are chopped. But yeah, you know what? Get a fucking